You're listening to The Pete Shepherd Show.
Morning. How are you on this hump day, Wednesday? This is Pete Shepherd Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. How you doing today? Wow. Short but great show lined up for you today. I have a doctor's appointment later on this morning, so I got to get out of here after 8 o'clock. So a short show today, but nevertheless, a very informative and entertaining show. I promise you that. Someone's going to have to explain some stuff to me that is going on in the Olympics that I don't understand, which I will get to in a second. But as always, thanks everybody for checking us out here on the Coastal Sports Network audio and, more importantly, video platform. Hello. You can follow me at pshep326 on X/Twitter, Twitter, whatever you want. You know what I'm talking about. Also on our Facebook page at sr1029thegame.com. We are powered, of course, by Ion TV, CSN Florida, Rumble, Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. And, of course, you can call and text the show 727-858-6650. That's 727, dummy, 858-6650. Lots going on. NFL news, Olympic news, MLB trading deadline recap. There were some incredible high-scoring games yesterday. Phillies blow a lead. My Red Sox blow a lead. The Dodgers blow a lead. I mean, the games were out of control yesterday. We had a historical account in the Yankee game, which I'll get to, and we'll recap. Not everybody's trading deadline. We only got an hour show today. Really, it's only really half hour, but we'll check in with Bill Spiros from the Boston Herald at the bottom of the hour for his weekly visit. And we say good morning to Angel Martinez, executive producer and co-host and host extraordinaire. So good morning, Angel. As he beams aboard. There he is. Looking all happy and handsome on Hump Day Wednesday. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, though.
Hold on. It would help if I mute myself. What a jerk off I am.
No, come on. I just gave out the number backwards a couple of seconds ago.
No, sporting, of course, the USA, as we should hear.
Don't ruin it, because we're going to lead with something I never thought I'd ever lead with in my life.
I'm not. But
history was made yesterday. But I got to tell you, this is a public service announcement, especially not down here in the state of Florida, but I know in Massachusetts, especially Stop and Shop, which up there is like Publix is down here. Yeah. There is a major recall for Boar's Head meat. Have you seen this story, Angel?
No.
Oh, yeah. It is unbelievable. So much so that stores in Massachusetts, my understanding, have pulled everything off the shelves because they have to clean and sterilize the deli. That's how bad it is up there. They've had to which Boar's Head has had to recall over the last, I think, week or so. I think it's actually started last month between certain hams and bologna and just Boar's Head now, but nevertheless. And then livers yesterday or something like that. Whatever it is, it's out of control. And I'll give some of the stores in Massachusetts credit if they're doing. They just had to pull everything off the shelf. Everything. Didn't matter if it's Boar's Head's head or not, because they're going to clean and sterilize everything. Some what's that? Oh, Listeria.
Yep.
Okay.
Isn't that a first though for Pete? Because we've never heard Boar's Head ever doing any kind of recall.
Oh, I'm sure every meat company or every deli company has had some sort of recall in the past at some point, but not like this, and not to the point where you have to. You're over 7 million pounds of meat.
Good Lord,
it's absolutely right. But could you imagine? And I'm not saying I don't want anybody to panic down here. I'm just giving an example. So say at your local deli in Florida, most of it's either Publix or Winn-Dixie usually, or what do you call it? Walmart. I think those are the three that in the state of Florida, most people adhere to. But just imagine going one of those, and not just Boar's Head, but everything out of the deli so they can clean and sterilize. I mean, that is huge. 7 million pounds of meat. That is
moly.
So I haven't heard anything about Boar's Head cheese or anything like that, but just the meats. I would be very, very wary of anybody purchasing. I don't care what state you're in or where you are right now. Bob says, The deli shelves are empty, and he's in Massachusetts in the Foxborough area. The deli shelves are empty in every Stop and Shop. It's a nightmare. Wow.
That's crazy.
Again, because it's not just meats. It's not just boar's head meat. They are clean. They have to decontaminate or disinfect everything because of the contamination. And I know it's a pain in the ass. It's got to be, but I give the store owners credit for doing it. Safety first. Otherwise, who the hell knows what could happen? But I feel badly for you guys in New England that have to go through this. That just sucks. But I've never seen a deli completely empty. I still haven't seen any pictures yet, but obviously I know it's happening. Bob just confirmed it up there. So what a nightmare that is. I would just recommend to everybody right now around the country and around the world, do not buy any boar's head meat, at least for the next 48 to 72 hours. You can buy your local deli meat,
Right.
or whatever. But I don't care where you are around. I don't care if you're at Stop and Shop, Shaw's, Market Basket, Publix, Winn-Dixie, Big Y. I don't care where you are around the country and what brand you have, what national supermarket you have. I would stay away from boar's head. Any products really over the next 48 to 72 hours until they figure this thing out. So, and I just can't imagine. When you can't, it's one thing to pull boar's head, but to pull everything because of boar's head, and you have to disinfect. Wow. And, sterilize everything. Anyway, so there's that. All right. So please be careful out there. My public service announcement, because, I'm glad you're all tuned in, but I don't want you to be watching this show from the hospital bed. I don't want you getting E. coli. By the way, speaking of E. coli, we'll get to the video in a second. What happened yesterday? They actually did it. The women's triathletes were the first athletes to swim in that cesspool, the Seine, at the Paris Olympics. Not for $1 million would I jump into that diarrhea-infested E. coli thing of water. Disgusting. But we'll show you the video anyway. But first, we're going to lead with something in my lifetime that I never thought I would lead in, and that is Olympic rugby, particularly the women's rugby finale. Maybe one of the most exciting things you'll ever see at the Olympics. Angel's got the video ready to go. I'm going to play it for you as it happened yesterday. I think they beat Sweden. Is that who they played? Or is Australia? I don't even know who the team they beat because I didn't see it till this morning. But here is the finale. Never has a bronze medal, Angel and people, been more exciting than this. USA Rugby. Okay, thanks to NBC Sports for that. So if you notice in the beginning of the video, can we play the beginning of that again?
Sure.
Angel? Just the first 15 seconds. I want you to watch the player for the United States who is allegedly hurt, because we didn't see how she went down. But just watch.
Alona Ma.
See? Is she hurt or does she have the ball? That's what they do. I know they huddle up. Let it roll for a second.
Hang on, let's do the instant replay here. So no, it looks like she's passing the ball. See her,
okay.
So her arms are up.
So you're allowed to do that in rugby. I have no idea about rugby rules. Now I know there's scrums, and when the quote unquote, I call it the face off, whatever the hell this is, the rugby face off. Okay, so she's in. Looks like she got kicked in the gut, but she doesn't. She actually has the rugby ball. I don't know the official term, the rugby ball, whatever it is. And then her teammate. They're trying to say, oh, see? Now, look, see the girl with the number.
Ramsey.
Let's go back. I have to, I'm bamboozled here. So, okay, the ball is at, okay. So, do they don't think the girl who's looks like she got punched in the gut. I thought initially she had the ball under her stomach and was holding arms. And I don't know if that's the case that, I don't even know who they play. Who's the team? Australia? Sweden? I don't know. Looks like regardless. Okay, so all of a sudden the ball is already behind the person who looks like a quarterback who's hunched over, ready to take the snap.
Right.
The ball is at her feet. on the left. But then here comes the deception. Okay, let's roll. Okay, so the ball is there.
Yep, but
And the Fumblerooski, Tim says a Fumblerooski, yeah. Or,
Gaspam guy had a comment too. I'll bring it back. If you
yeah,
look, she's
yeah.
looking
Let's
for-
okay. Let her roll again.
Yeah, she sees the defender coming to her left. So here she hoists it over to the right.
Yeah. So, okay, and once that happens,
there's a first
it,
tackle.
how many aside on a rugby team?
I think it's 6. I want to say
6.
Yeah,
I thought it was more than that. Okay, so and you can tackle. I don't know the rules. How you can trip, and I don't know what the rules are. I'm sure it's because you can't tackle. It's a very physical game. I know. I have a lot of respect for these men and women that play this game. I have no idea what you're allowed to get away with, what you're not allowed to get away with. I know they try to pull her down. She just steamrolls everybody.
Yep.
Looking like Bo Jackson back in the
Spiff Centrics.
Yeah, she was. She figured she broke 3 tackles because Hines tried to push her from behind, but then
Centric up over the 50, the 40. She's gonna take it all the way.
How many points is this
Centric
worth?
for the U.S.
They said they were level at 12, meaning the game was tied at 12. I understand that. I have no idea what the scoring is, and I don't know what that extra point thing was. I've seen the game plenty of times. I still don't understand the scoring. So what she get, an extra point? I mean, after that rugby touchdown or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. I don't even know the official terminology, but that was pretty exciting. Look at all the people that were at this thing.
Oh yeah,
I know rugby's big in Europe. I love Tim's the Fumblerooski. Yeah, that was
yeah. Gascon guy had said, and "Good morning, fellas. They need to sign that girl to the NFL." LOL.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand. I don't know scoring in rugby at all, and I don't know what you can get away with tackling. Do they have penalties? If somebody's in the open, if she's in the open like that, and somebody were to catch her and trip her, would they get like a penalty kick or something? Like they do in hockey? I don't know. I really don't know. We gotta get a rugby expert on here. I'm still trying to find out who they beat.
I'm quite sure it was Australia.
It looked like Australia. I mean, that was the story of the day. Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it was Australia.
Yeah. Okay. That was either Australia or Sweden because those are the colors. We'll go with Australia, and Australia has great rugby over there. They have a great league. Well, there's rugby, and then there's Australian football, and the two. I know Australian football is like playing football without pads and helmets, which is nuts. But I don't understand the scoring of rugby at all. I know it's easier than cricket. I will never understand cricket. I don't understand rugby. I respect it. I don't understand Australian rules football.
Yeah, I don't that cricket stuff. I can't, and I know it has a massive following. A lot of folks in the following.
Oh God, yeah.
Tim was right.
Australia. It was Australian. Anyhow, but that was exciting yesterday. I did not see Simone Biles win another gold medal. I know she was.
Well, that was good.
She was pretty good on the balance beam. I heard she slipped a couple times, but who cares?
It was like it was.
I didn't watch it. I forgot it was even on. To be honest with you, like I said, I saw the highlights later on, some of them anyway. But you watched it.
Yeah, it was good. And her floor routine. So I forget the young lady's name before her, but the young lady before her, she took place of. And I have to start writing down the names. She took place of another person, another young lady that was supposed to be on the floor, but she wasn't feeling well, so she came in. She was kind of like the backup in case they needed somebody.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for her routine, followed by Simone Biles, then they may have slipped a little. They eventually still would have won gold, but her routine was good. But Simone Biles did this run and leap she almost is. She had like a 3-air tumble.
She's like a superhero. I mean, she should be an Avenger or somebody. I mean,
Well,
it's unbelievable.
she hit the height of 11.8 feet up in the air. She went out of bounds like
How's that possible? How do you do that?
I don't know, but she took off like a cannon because they got that slight stop just before they start hitting like the. I always call it the triple Lindy only because the movie, but she hit it 3 times as she spun up in the air. When they measured it, it was 11.8 feet. It was ridiculous.
And that's on the floor, no springboard or anything. That's just her on the. That's like running, and you start and you go. You put your hands down and you jump. You up higher than a basketball net. Basketball net is 10 feet.
Yeah.
And she's at 11 feet, just running and backhand, whatever you want. I don't know the terminology. I'm not familiar with the gymnastics terminology, a lot of this stuff. But God almighty, how you spring 11 feet up in the air, that's more than a basketball court.
Yeah.
Basketball hoop. I saw a new commercial with the Australian women's rugby team. Says, Tim, if you get nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Okay, might be something.
He's talking about because of the loss there.
Oh. Well, speaking of that, and then we'll get to some baseball stuff. And I'm trying to, I don't know why right now. It's like one of those days. I'm trying to find the box score. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, because we're going to do the Red Sox report earlier today. But I do want to, speaking of diarrhea and disgusting, Angel, can we play the video also on NBC Sports? It's the one right after it. The women's triathletes were the first athletes to risk their lives into this stinky E. coli infested river, the River Seine in France. And here's how it went down yesterday.
That's nuts. Oh, we got some guys says, yeah, but they don't. Yes, but they don't use the floors. They have like a little bounce to them, it looks like. But it's even still, it's very, very minute.
She's amazing. All right, here's the stinky Seine and the women's triathletes risking their lives yesterday on NBC.
As the racers are now set to dive into
the
Seine to start this triathlon here at these Olympic Games.
Oh.
Wow, that was interesting. I did not hear that starting whistle.
Look, somebody got a head start.
Several athletes went, like the whole left side of the field went in before I heard the horn go. That will be interesting to see if there's going to be a penalty assessed. That's going to be for half the field. And so you're going to notice the athletes are actually moving much faster than they would normally. And they're going to go to the middle of the river, which is where the current is flowing. Now, once they turn the buoy, they're going to be turning and swimming back upstream.
I don't know who won, but if the person who dove in first wins, then there's going to be controversy. Controversy at the Olympics,
Well, yeah,
false starts like in track. I mean, isn't there like an emergency whistle if you start early in track? They don't let you go. They stop for a second.
Yeah, but I think when you're swimming, it's kind of hard to get everybody back out and get that momentum going again, because you'll hear it in the very beginning. You'll see, I'll bring it back here for a second. You'll see that looks like I think that's Italy on the very far right, but she lines up and then takes off. Like she must have saw somebody to her left take off, because you see them jump and then you hear the horn. Listen.
Yeah, well, somebody in the middle jumped. Yeah.
Yeah.
As the racers are now set to dive into the Seine to start this triathlon here at these Olympic Games.
So they jump, then the horn. Yep. That's why you see the girls on the left.
Yeah.
All of a sudden jump in afterwards. That's going to be, I would love
unless somebody in the stands blew a horn.
No, because you can, even the commentators, you can hear a broadcaster saying that they end up taking off prior to the horn going off, because if you look on the video when they played it back, half of the left side ended up jumping in late because of it.
All right. Okay. Well, let's see if Bill Sparrow's at the bottom of the hour from the Boston Herald and senior betting analyst at bookies.com watched any of this stuff yesterday. Tim, I was going to get to this. Jazz Chisholm, great pickup by the Yankees. He made history last night. he became the first player in MLB history to hit multiple home runs in his first 3 games with his team. He hit some bombs last night. Unfortunately, against your Philadelphia, like my Red Sox, your Phillies blew a lead as well. We both our teams lost games last night. The Red Sox, I saw the highlights, the bombs that both teams hit for Europe in the Yankees and the Phillies. The Red Sox just pissed that game away last night because their defense was absolutely atrocious. There is a bad news bear play last night that was made. I believe it was by Dominic Smith, first baseman, on a slow roller charging. The pitcher has to cover the mound. He basically did this. Say this is the ball. This is the ball.
Right.
Instead of like just, and he's about 8 feet away. It just went. It's like he spiked it. It was like a bad first pitch. It's like it stuck to his hand and he just spiked it. It was really awful. It was really awful. And then they had other players had issues as well. Raphael at shortstop blew a play. But the Red Sox blow a lead. They lose 10-6. So anyway, let's just do the Red Sox report right here because again, short show today because I have a doctor's appointment to get to. So the Red Sox report brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out the complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and Plastown, New Hampshire. So Jorge Polanco homered in the 4th inning and added an RBI double in the 6th. Dylan Moore drove in 3 with a bases loaded double and a 5-run 5th. A couple of those runs were unearned. As I said, Mariners beat the Red Sox 10-6. An 8-run outburst midway through the game helped Seattle win for the 4th time in 5 games. The Mariners capitalized on a whole bunch of defensive gaffes last night by the Red Sox, and they were booed off the field at one point. The Mariners have scored now 6 or more runs in each of their last 5 games. They outscored opponents 39-26 during the stretch. Luis Castillo pitched 6 innings, holding the Sox to 3 runs on 6 hits, a walk. He struck out 3. Rafael Devers hit a 3-run homer for the Red Sox in the 3rd. The Sox added 3 more runs in the 7th, but could not complete a comeback from a 10-3 deficit. They were up in this game 3-1. The Red Sox were. Red Sox had 3 errors, 2 in the 5th. When the Mariners chase started James Paxton and another in the 6th. Paxton picked up by the Red Sox in the trade last week with the Dodgers, pitched 4 in the 3rd innings, allowed 6 runs on 6 hits, and struck out 5. And only 3 of those runs were earned. So that was just, it was horrible. Justin Turner, former Red Sox player, drove in, and just acquired by Seattle, drove in a run with a fielder's choice. Polanco drew a walk, and then Moore hit a double off reliever Zach Kelly off the monster to clear the bases for the Mariners. So final score was 10-6. For the Red Sox shortstop, Cedillo Rafael spent a few minutes with the trainers after getting hit by a pitch in the bottom of the 5th. He remained in the game. So coming up in the series finale tonight at Fenway, Brian Bello will be pitching for the Red Sox. He's 10-5 with a 5.27 ERA. And George Kirby, who's 8-7 with a 5.37 ERA, tries to help the Mariners clinch the series with the win. But I like the Red Sox tonight to win that series. So there it is. Red Sox report brought to you by Moynihan Lumber. Check out their complete line of Anderson windows and doors at any of their 3 locations in Beverly and North Reading, Massachusetts, and Plastow, New Hampshire. Already time for our first break. We'll try to get to some NFL news, but if not, I'll save it for tomorrow. The Jets have more issues with Aaron Rodgers, and apparently Robert Saleh, the head coach, says he's not going to play in the preseason. Caleb Williams, who I was looking forward to seeing tomorrow night in the Hall of Fame game with the Bears and the Texans, he's not going to play either. I can't stand it. I don't know how Aaron Rodgers is going to play in preseason because the chemistry's been so good so far with the Jets. Why not have him take more preseason games off? Anyway, it is the Pete Shepherd Show. When we come back, Bill Sparrows with his weekly visit from the Boston Herald and senior betting analyst at bookies.com is next right here on the Pete Shepherd Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastow, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Eye on Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, IonTP.com. Eye on Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Eye on Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Shepherd Show.
Welcome back. It is the Pete Shepherd Show. Short version today, only going until 8 o'clock because I got a doctor's appointment down here in Florida. You miss a doctor's appointment, you won't get rescheduled for like 6 months because of so-and-so. Anyway, had to do it. Can't get out of it, but still get to chat with one of my favorites, Bill Sparrows from the Boston Herald and senior betting analyst at bookies.com, who got up a little earlier today and decided to join me this morning. Even though, as I said earlier in the show, Bill, and I don't know if you're listening, I buy Boar's Head stuff all the time. The Stop and Shops, at least the Stop and Shops, and I know 7 million pounds of meat have been recalled, and I know all the delis are in lockdown basically in New England, right, because of this Boar's Head situation. I give the stores credit and managers credit for having the balls to just to decontaminate and just sterilize everything. You have to. Safety first, I guess. But that's going to be. I've never seen a whole deli empty before. I mean, empty. Crazy. So how you doing?
Better than Boar's Head.
Yeah, but it's not just Boar's Head, right? It's now it's affecting Bob. I think you know Bob Heidelberg. You know he's written a couple of books and everything else, and I'm sure you bumped into him. You said it's an absolute disaster. There's nothing. You know, obviously there's not. You can't get cheese. You can't get any. It doesn't matter if it's Boar's Head or not. You can't get anything at the delis.
Back to peanut butter and fluff.
I've never been a fluff guy, even though it was invented in Massachusetts. I'm not a big Nutella guy either.
No,
peanut butter, Skippy, creamy is fine with me. Yeah. So how's everything going? How you doing? Speaking of a spazzing out, the Red Sox spazzed out on defense last night. That was kind of ugly to watch. I felt bad for Paxton. He only gave up 3 earned runs, and it was just what a shit show that was on defense last night in the 5th inning. Too bad.
Well, they still lead the majors in unearned runs allowed. So
yeah.
I mean, they did. I suppose they did the best they could do, given the situation they created, in terms of picking up those 2 relievers yesterday.
Yeah,
I mean they're
Garcia and Sims. Yep.
At least they're like real major league ball players. They're not like kind of fake guys. They're actually real ball players who like played in wool uniforms and were members of the players union and did reasonably well on teams that weren't reasonably well. So I give them credit. You like to say it's never too late to do the right thing. Although I think in this case, it would have been a lot nicer 2 weeks ago, given, how they've performed against teams that are either in the playoffs, meaning the Yankees and Dodgers, or teams that they have to beat to get to the playoffs, to wit last night. I think these last couple of weeks since the All-Star break were kind of the lost opportunity they had to really break out of that middle of the pack there in terms of the wild card and even make a run at the division. But, as you saw against especially the Yankees, I mean, that, you have 3 plays, in my opinion, that encapsulate the season so far for the Red Sox. One was Rafaela getting picked off at third base.
That was unbelievable.
In a game that went into extras. You don't know if he was going to score, but, you have to assume he had a good shot. I mean, that's a mental, mental error, right?
That should never happen.
Then you had, sort of the ghost of Manny in left field with Tyler O'Neill, who just didn't know how to play that ball in the 9th. And then you had Kenley 1 strike away Jansen, who couldn't get the last strike. I mean, if he had gotten that out, that might have ended the Yankee season right there, because they were kind of on the verge of sort of breaking up.
Yep.
And when you let somebody off the hook like that, and the way that they came back to win that game, and then they went Saturday the races, that to me was certainly a turning point in the Yankees season, and could be a turning point in the Red Sox season. And it was all because of the same problems they've had all year. Bullpen is gassed. It's totally shot. They're still not 100% there on defense. And, they're certainly incredibly athletic and aggressive, and they're hitting the hell out of the ball, but, they're just not quite there as a major leaguers.
They're not good enough to give up 3 unearned runs.
No, they're not.
They can't overcome that. As good as their bats are and the way they hustle, and they're not there. They can't afford it. And he made such a great point about the Yankee game on Saturday. Yeah. I thought, because I was talking to Sean McAdam yesterday on this show, Bill, and we were talking about that series and had the Red Sox, because I thought Friday night after the Red Sox came back and won, I thought boom might have been. Then on Saturday, I'm like, geez, they really, the Red Sox in the driver's seat on the game, as you just said, and they blew it. Had the Red Sox won that game going into Sunday night, I got to figure does Aaron Boone have a job right now? But then it didn't happen, and since that win, the Yankees have exploded.
Yeah. That is 100% the turning point in their season.
It is. They beat the Red Sox on Sunday night. Then they've clobbered the Phillies so far. They've come back last night. A whole bunch of teams came back, but the Yankees right now are on a roll, big time roll.
Yeah, and it was courtesy of I mean, look, if you're not good enough to throw the third strike, you just don't physically have it. But those other two plays, O'Neill's been in left field enough to know better, and it's third grade or little league baseball, not standing on the bag. I mean, that was an unconscionable mistake. The other two were just in the moment they weren't athletically good enough.
How about Smith last night? Did you see that throw he attempted the first where he spiked the ball?
Again,
I mean, how does that happen?
You have Dominic Smith. I mean, who is this guy?
I know.
I mean, remember, this is what really kills me too about this team is you have I understand injuries, but then again, Tom Brady never missed a start after age 32. So, injuries can be prevented if you come with the right approach, especially non-contact injuries. So you have guys that are hurt for whatever reason. And then, the guys replacing them are not major leaguers. I mean, these are not major league caliber ball players. And unfortunately, like your whole right side of the infield is a freaking crapshoot. So you don't know what's going to happen when the balls hit to the right side. It's tough when your first baseman is a nobody and that way. And it's hard to, in a sense, you can look at them and say they've unbelievably overachieved, not just from a betting perspective, but just from the way that they've played, because they are playing so much. They are so much greater than the sum of their parts. It's really, really, it's exceptional. But of course, they sort of got the help that they needed, but it came like 11 games too late. And, they still have flaws defensively that have resurfaced. So, it's 162 games. It's a long time. I mean, we're still 2 months away from, the end of the regular season. And I don't know how this team, I think they'll get some extra, they'll get the innings they need from the three, pitchers back to the two they got yesterday. I don't know about this kid from Pittsburgh, but, it seems like they've got enough arms to get the innings. It's really math, right? They got 160 odd innings they got to pick up, and they've picked it up. But, if you're going to you don't have a real second baseman, you don't have a real first baseman, you really can't win. You can't get into the playoffs or play and succeed in the playoffs with that kind of team.
They got to survive these until I think we talked about this maybe last week or whoever. I circled August 25th because the schedule for the Red Sox, as Bryce said, right after the All-Star break, is really brutal. Right up until about August 25th, and I said if they can go about 500 in all of those games, they should still be in the thick of things for the wild card. Right now, they're 2 games behind Kansas City and Minnesota. Not horrible. Certainly they can overcome that. They're still technically in the hunt for the division, although I think that is, they'd have to go 14-2 or something like that to really get back in there. You look at the schedule for the Red Sox. I don't have it, but I've already gone through it between the Yankees and Texas and the Houston Astros, and they have to play a lot of really good teams who are in the hunt right now. If they can survive up until about August 25th, then they should be okay, but that's a long ways away. But still, despite everything, and them giving away a couple of games the last 5 days or so, it's still only 2 games behind the Royals.
Well, look, the job of the Red Sox is to keep us entertained until football season, and they've done that. They've made the summer. They're fun. They're a good watch. I mean, these games are my God, the greatest thing ever in baseball history since integration and free agency was this pitch clock. I mean, these games are remarkably quick. Of course, that Yankee game notwithstanding, it was 3.5 hours. But they're actually like you're watching the games and they're over at 10 o'clock. It's like wow, this is great.
It is. I watch a lot of day baseball too with other teams.
So from that perspective, the Red Sox have been a success because they've been entertaining, they've been fun to watch, and they sort of got us to football season. Now the Patriots are going to be a catastrophe, but
I don't think they're going to be a catastrophe. I don't think they're going to be a catastrophe. I'm not saying they're going to, make the playoffs or anything like that. I don't think they're going to be a catastrophe. I don't.
I don't know. I was listening to your colleagues in Boston yesterday, and man, it sounded like Drake May was like the worst decision since Danny Cater for Sparky Live.
I don't understand that because the highlights I've seen of Drake May, he has looked outstanding. Of course, he's going to make. Look at fucking Aaron Rodgers. That team is a disaster right now. They can't get out of their own way. People are saying,
hey, it's the Jets, man.
I love it.
I always
want sacks, fumbles.
I always want people to remember that the last time the Jets won a Super Bowl, Lyndon Johnson was president, and we hadn't walked on the moon yet.
Yeah.
So
those were the days.
Always keep that in mind when you're talking about the Jets. There was a still an AFL the last time the Jets won the Super Bowl. So it's, you can say the Jets fans get all excited, Aaron Rodgers, whatever, but, the making fun of the Jets has been one of the great joys of my life for, 50 years.
And I don't understand how he's not going to, Salah said yesterday, he's not going to play in any preseason games because the chemistry has been so good so far. It's ridiculous. He had he had a hissy fit on Monday again. I kind of don't blame him, but Lazard had a ball go right through his hands. It got picked. He got stepped on by his offensive lineman. He got sacked 5 times. And he's yelling at Garrett Wilson on Saturday.
I saw that clip.
I still have the video. It is a thing of beauty. So, and then they're going to open up in San Francisco their first game. Good luck. And he's not going to play in any preseason games.
Yeah.
With the chemistry or lack thereof that they have now. Good luck. I can't. I really thought Caleb Williams would play tomorrow night because our first football game is tomorrow night. I was really looking forward to watching him play, but he's not going to play either. All these guys, the Jets aren't going to play Rodgers at all in any preseason game. So I don't know how they're going to get better. I think it's a major issue. And then you got Jacksonville, and Doug Peterson is like, no, our starters are playing in games 1 and game 3 because they need to get Trevor Lawrence going with that.
Yeah, you need the reps.
Otherwise, you're 4 weeks into the regular season.
Exactly. Yeah, the Patriots used to get away with that because they had Tom Brady, but unless you got like a 34-year-old Tom Brady, you can't get away with that. So it is really funny. And you listen to like the former players and I think a lot of them are in shock when they see training camp and practice now in the preseason and how it really doesn't exist and how these guys, like you said, they have so few reps, like minimal contact drills, minimal, hits, minimal everything. And I get that. I get the reasoning behind it, but, it is going to be a mess. Week 1, when we get to this, there'll be a lot of, I think, opportunity from a betting perspective to really look at teams that aren't going to be ready versus the ones that are going to be ready.
Mm-hmm. I think joint practices.
Just look at the Patriots. Everybody's fretting over that 8.5-point line against Cincinnati in week 1. I mean, the Bengals are ready. I mean, Joe Burrow is ripping to go. They're going to be clicking. I mean, I think that game's going to be a slaughter. But, and it's because it's week 1. And I don't know, the Patriots with Hank Stram, great Hank Stram, it's going to be like a Chinese fire drill every time they're out there. Again, I'm going to watch them. You would like you and I and all your listeners from New England. We all been watching the Patriots since the days when they were blacked out.
Which we didn't watch, which we couldn't watch when they were blacked out.
My point, exactly.
Many times, especially on Monday Night Football.
Watching the Giants game, but having a Patriots game on the radio was pretty much the norm in our youth, as you know. So
a lot of it for home games, anyway. Yes.
So,
And then
the Patriots are a story, right? At least from, my Herald perspective. The Patriots are a story. They're on the back page every day as they should be. Although I always get disappointed when I'm not on the back page. But
you should be. You should be in the center.
But the Patriots are the back page, and they will be until if Jason Tatum ever plays and those three Celtics win a gold medal, that'll be a great photo. But until then, we have the Patriots. We have a lot of football, and it's a great time of year. Now we've gotten through it. We're through the desert. We're in August. It's football season.
It is college football season too.
Week zero is 3 weeks from Saturday.
So that's I can't wait.
And how exciting is that?
It is Florida State, Georgia Tech, noon Eastern time in Dublin. I'm all over it. I had John Meter on yesterday. He's excited about BC, and rightly so. I hope some of the fans up there are. BC
does all right. They get their 30,000 at Chestnut Hill. It's such a beautiful stadium, though.
It is.
It's such a great place to watch a game, especially if the weather's nice. It's absolutely
because you're right on top of the field. You're right.
Yeah, it's a great kind of everybody talks about the great settings in college football, and I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of them in person. But that Alumni Stadium is kind of an unheralded, kind of nice. It's like Utah. Not everybody ever realizes you go to Utah.
They're sold out every game.
Boulder, Colorado. My God, that place is beautiful. But I gotta say, man, in the fall, a cold, clear day there on Chestnut Hill. That's a nice little, boxing setting.
I agree with you. I think that Alumni Stadium and also Mikey Stadium up at West Point. I don't know if you've ever been there, Bill.
No, I have not.
And that is something
that's on the list.
That you need to take a drive up there. I don't care who they play. Late October, with the foliage and all that stuff. There is nothing you get goosebumps from the kids marching to the game. The whole procession is unbelievable. The stadium is beautiful, great backdrop and everything. It's a scene, man. It's a scene. It really is spectacular. It's goosebumpish when you go see Army play up at West Point, upstate New York. It's unbelievable.
Well, I get goosebumps now when I just wake up. So
I try not to pull a muscle when I wake up and get out of bed. That's my goal. Speaking of goals, how about the women's rugby team? I don't know how to score in rugby. I wasn't even sure they beat yesterday when we played the clip earlier. They beat Australia. First time a rugby team for the United States has ever medaled in anything. But overall, besides Simone Biles and maybe the Olympic basketball team, which I've yet to see, have you watched any of the Olympics?
Hey, I got the Gold Zone on right now. I've always been an Olympic fan, and I've known people that have been in the Olympics, and I've known people that have tried and failed to get to the Olympics, and I've literally seen firsthand the work that goes into it. I knew some weightlifters and some triathletes. And, the work that these kids, and they are so young, which is wonderful, except like that, you have like the 58-year-old equestrian guy in his 30th Olympic. I mean, that's like a joke.
How about the boxing match with the guy beating up the girl?
Yeah, that's always nice.
How does that happen? How does that? I mean, that was disgusting.
Aside from those quirks, like watching the rugby team you mentioned, or the water polo team, or that woman, the woman from Utah, the cyclist who won the silver. I was exhausted just watching her going up and down those hills. It's really cool to see these young athletes performing, on this stage. And despite everything that's screwed up in the world, it still happens almost every 4 years. So I've always been an Olympics guy. I understand why, people get cynical about it. And there's a lot to be cynical about, especially with, Jaylen Brown and even Tatum. And I touched on that a little bit today. But just in general, I just sort of enjoy the Olympics. And I mean the competition and the medal count, wondering why the USA isn't winning more golds. And of course, and I think part of this was formed in my teen years when, in 1984, we had like free McDonald's until like the end of the year. because of all the
Yeah.
medals that the Americans won. That was like a formative experience of my
That's Sarajevo, right?
No, that was in LA when the Russians
Oh, LA,
boycotted
LA,
and
yes,
McDonald's,
yes,
had all the, and of course everything was like, you'll get a free Big Mac if the U.S. wins like the rowing, which they hadn't
Yeah.
won in like 600 years. But
Yeah.
since all these countries boycotted, they won all these crap medals, right? Because it was like no competition.
Well, they didn't have breakdancing back then like they do now. I mean, people spinning on their heads on, we used to, I mean, I never did that. I remember one time.
Yeah, we gave up baseball and softball for skateboarding and breakdancing. So that's
skateboarding I can understand somewhat. Breakdancing, I don't get it at all. That is not a freaking Olympic sport. That is something that you do with your friends in the middle of, Times Square or the Common in Boston. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. If that were the case, we would have had a ton of Olympians back in the
Hey,
80s.
if you live long enough, Pete, they're going to have cheerleading in the Olympics.
Good Lord. It's just, I used to be a fan of certain things. The only thing I care about in the Olympics right now at all ever is the hockey team. That's all I care about.
Yeah, well, that too. I mean, that's
it. That's
and then
it.
the hockey and the, I've probably watched every Olympic hockey game and every Olympic basketball game as far back as I can remember. So that's
What does South Sudan is? They were 45.5-point underdogs 10 days ago. The U.S. won by a point. They've already shocked Spain. I think this
that line has been. I don't know where you saw 45. I saw 30.
No, that was last time. That was last week.
Yeah, no. This game opened at 34. It's down to 29. So there is some money moving. There is some other line movement. Katie Ledecky was minus. I believe she was minus 3,500 to win the 15 tonight. Now she's minus 6,000. That's the longest the longest price of anyone, or shortest price of anyone in the Olympics, minus 6,000. The Americans to win the most golds has already been cut in half from 720 to minus 340. So there's some movement out there in some of these markets. But yeah, the South Sudan line is tightened up a bit.
Who are you going with? You got to put any shekels on one way or the other?
No. I was going to bet. I'm glad because I was actually leaning towards Serbia the other day, and I'm glad I didn't place that bet. So if I think these guys are they're in kill mode because apparently there's an issue with point differential, which I wasn't aware of. So I think the way that this team is, constructed and the way that South Sudan, obviously that other game was, that was just more almost to get, I believe that was one of these games you play to get into basketball shape, as they say.
Yeah.
But Idiot apparently is, trying to work his rotations, which is why Tatum didn't play. I mentioned this in my column today. He said that, I only want to use 10 players a game. That's what I can do, right? And I went back and I looked up the Dream Team, the freaking greatest team in sports ever.
Yep.
And every single player on that team averaged at least 7 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the greatest single team of ever can get all 12 guys in the rotation, but this idiot can't.
Well, I said, part of me wants to think that this stuff is overrated. Another part of me, I don't want any of my guys to play. I know Drew Holiday after KD the other day, he probably was the best player on the floor on both sides.
Usually
but
is.
Overall, I don't want Holiday and Tatum and White to play a lot. I don't want them getting hurt. They just won a championship. Camp is right around the corner. Then they're stuck in this glorified exhibition tournament that I don't think that means a whole hell of a lot. If they don't win the gold, it's an embarrassment. I just don't want my guys to get hurt.
I don't know.
That's what I'm worried about.
I mean, yeah, that could happen, I suppose, but I don't think there's really. I don't see that as a concern. I think they want to do it. I give them credit, for whatever reason. Whatever the reason is their reason, but they're representing the country. I mean, that's kind of cool. At least for me, I still kind of believe it's kind of cool that they want to represent the country. And at least they won't take a knee when they win the gold medal and play the national anthem. So it's really nice that, you actually have athletes like standing for the anthem and want to represent the country. I'm okay with that. I don't, these are, they're playing 18 to 20 minutes and is like 6 games. It's, I don't know what these guys play a lot anyway in the summer. I don't think they're really wearing themselves down any more than they would otherwise. And I just think it's a good experience for them. Or in the case of Brown and Tatum, it's another motivating factor. I mentioned today in my column, we always used to talk about like what's going to motivate Brady every time he won, and he always came up with a reason. And now Brown and Tatum, I think they're going to be like massively pissed about the Olympics for different reasons. I know Tatum's going to play today, but still, that was an embarrassment because the whole world was watching that game because it was the first game. And he sat on the bench. He looked like Deuce, like when Deuce didn't get Deuce didn't get his lollipop. That's what Jason Tatum looked like the other day. And so Brown has a chip, and Jason Tatum has a chip, and they're going into so it's like, hey, what's this? I'm not worried about the Celtics being motivated this year. Like, I think they're in murder everybody mode, and I cannot wait for them to play Golden State. Next year, whatever the line is, I'm going to hammer the Celtics. I am dumping the 401k on the Celtics. They're going to beat Golden State by 70 this year at the Garden, not 50. They're going to beat them by 70.
I hope you're right. All right, Bill. I'm going to get to a doctor's appointment, so I'm cutting the program short today, as I announced yesterday. But thank you so much, as always.
One quick gambling note, gambling news note.
Yes.
Tomorrow, and I don't want people to read too much into this. Tomorrow in Massachusetts, they're going to kind of resume the discussion they had on player limits 2 months ago when none of the sports books showed up. But again, you have to understand the intricacies of the open meeting clause and stuff. All that's going to happen tomorrow is they're going to talk about the process. So if you see things online about, they're going to settle, they're not going to settle anything tomorrow. They're going to talk about the process and getting these operators back in the room and bringing in others into the room to talk about player limits. So that discussion, and Mass is the only state in the country that's doing it right now, but it is going to happen. But it's not going to happen tomorrow. But tomorrow is like just another step. So I wanted to point that out in case anybody had any
Great stuff. I'm glad you did. Bill, thanks so much. And make sure you check out Bill's column in the Boston Herald today, and always check out his stuff on bookies.com. Great senior betting analyst, as you heard, with information like that you do not get anywhere else. Great stuff. Bill, we'll talk next week. Thank you, sir. Pete. Go USA. All right. And Angel, that's going to do it. Going to have to wrap this up today. Angel is back doing a great job. And we'll be back tomorrow. Have a full show tomorrow with lots of great guests coming up. See if we can steal Mia O'Brien away from the Jacksonville minicamp. She's doing a great job, as always. And we'll have some other fun guests lined up for you as well tomorrow. Angel, you the man. Thank you so much. I will be in contact with you later today. And you have a great and rest of your Wednesday.
You too, Pete.
What's coming up on the network today?
The new episode with the Marshall Brothers, that'll drop today. The one, as we mentioned yesterday, same way with Kat and Pat, their new episode is dropping today. I believe Q, if he's not traveling, I know he had a lot of boxing stuff to do, but he should be on at 12. I, like you, have an appointment as well, so I will not be on at 10 o'clock. And then the whole full gamut of things will be back come tomorrow.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks, Angel, for everything and all you do. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out here on the Coastal Sports Network. I'm Pete. I'm back tomorrow at 7 a.m.